Hey guys, so unfortunately I could not get back into Anthem. When I had to close it out and I went back in, it was giving me an unknown error, connection issues, all that stuff. So I was not able to get back into Anthem. However, I am able to get into Final Fantasy. Their servers are usually pretty golden. They've been doing it for about 4 or 5 years now, so they've already fixed 99.9% of their connection issues, I would say. But this is my main character, and she has 3 level 70 classes now. I just finished a tank just the other day. I'm working on the samurai now. Typically I mage it out, which is probably why I am so interested in the storm. Yeah, pretty much any MMORPG or even just regular RPG, if they have a mage class available, I typically play it. Now, granted, if it's a healing mage class, then unfortunately I typically avoid that. Me trying to keep up with everybody else's health is kind of a pain in the butt. I typically can barely keep up with my own, let alone somebody else's. So healing for me is just it's no bueno, no bueno. But anyway, unfortunately, not the game I was looking to play at the moment. But Anthem has some issues right now, and it's not letting me go back in after the first initial gameplay that had happened. So, here is Final Fantasy instead. Plus side with Final Fantasy is kind of like Anthem, I guess. With Anthem, because a lot of people were saying, oh, it's going to be a Destiny clone and things like that. With Anthem, you can have every class. You can be the tank, you can be the mage DPS, you can be the physical melee DPS, and you'll be fine. You don't have to create 12 different characters or 3 different characters so that you can do that. Just like with Final Fantasy, right now I'm the samurai class, and as you can see, I have full ability to change. Now I'm a black mage, and I have a different weapon, I have different stats, different skills, all without having to make a secondary character if I do not want to. Here is the red mage, for instance. So on and so forth. If you don't want to make a new character, you do not have to. Here is a tank class, the Dark Knight to be exact. I'm mainly DPS. I do try to have one tank max leveled at all times if possible. Typically it has been my Dark Knight. And I mainly do that because it's so much easier to get into dungeons if you're a tank in this game. There's only 3 tank classes and 3 healer classes, so if you are one of those classes, you're almost guaranteed to get into a dungeon immediately. As soon as you queue up for it, you're in. DPSs, however, typically have a wait time, and it can be anywhere from 5 minutes to almost an hour, if not longer, depending on the dungeon. Square Enix themselves and Naoki Yoshida have been working on making it easier for DPS classes to get into dungeons, because they understand that yes, we have a lot of them. As a matter of fact, I can pull that up now. Wrong button. So here is your classes, all of them here. The ones down here are your crafting and your gathering classes. So you do have gathering classes like blacksmithing for your minerals and your iron and all that kind of stuff. Botany for, botany. Fishermen, pretty self-explanatory. They all help bring you your resources for your culinarian, alchemist, weaver, leather worker, goldsmith, armorer, blacksmith, and carpenters. All of which you need for just about every piece of gear that you can have. Now to start things off, you have many different classes. So here's your first 3 classes. You have your paladin, your warrior, and your dark knight. They are your tank classes. Tanks are fairly simple to use as long as you can get the basics down of holding the aggro of the enemies down. You will be fine. As long as you have that down, you should not have any problems as a tank. Healers have to be the most complicated classes. because, I mean, they're easy to use, sure, but to maintain them is difficult. Having to watch everybody else's health, having to dodge attacks that are being sent towards you, making sure that you're keeping yourself alive, keeping your mana maintained so you don't run out. It becomes a pretty big issue after a little while. But you have your White Mage, you have your Scholar, and you have your Astrologian. And then after that is your DPSs. As you can see, there are a boatload of DPSs. You have your Monk, your Dragoon, your Ninja, Samurai, your Bard, your Machinist, Black Mage, Summoner, Red Mage, and just recently added the Blue Mage. The Blue Mage is a special case. He's what's considered a limited job. He cannot be used in everyday content. It can only be used for certain things, and his level caps out at 50 for now. Whereas the level cap for everything else is 70. So as you can see, my Red Mage, my Black Mage, and my Dark Knight are level 70s. If you're wondering what these classes are up here, this is how Final Fantasy XIV started. They had the class and then job system. So you start out with the Gladiator class, the Marauder class, Conjurer class, Pugilist, Lancer, Rogue, Archer, Thaumaturge, and Arcanist. The Arcanist could then job up into the Summoner or the Scholar, depending on which side you chose. The Conjurer became the White Mage, Marauder became Warrior, Gladiator became Paladin, so on and so forth, with each one directly below it. Now, that being said, with this game in particular, this game is a pay-to-play. It is a subscription-based game. There is no pay-to-win factor, however. And Naoki Yoshida, he is the director and lead producer on Final Fantasy XIV. He has made it perfectly clear that they will never add in pay-to-win. You cannot pay $30 and get a bunch of money. You can't pay $30, gain a special piece of gear that's vastly superior to others, and things like that. You have to earn your way through this game. However, with the launch of Stormblood, which is the current expansion that is out, they introduced the Samurai and the Red Mage jobs. With that being said, when they did launch that, they did add a scenario skip and a level skip item that you could purchase. I believe the level skip was $30 and the scenario skip is $25. With a scenario skip, you can skip all of the original game and the first expansion, Heavensward, and just start right up in Stormblood. However, if you're not level 60, you won't be able to do any of the Stormblood content. So if you have a level 60 character, but you haven't quite finished the main scenario of A Realm Reborn or Heavensward, you can use that scenario skip to get you to Stormblood so you can keep up with everybody else. That guy down there, he's actually a botanist. They sit there and they gather off plants, they gather off trees, because they'll be also your carpenters. They go, well, not your carpenters, but they are your loggers. They'll go down, chop down a tree, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then your level skip will jump you from any class to level 60. It'll give you a set of level 60 gear to go with it, and that is it. And that level 60 gear is obviously severely outdated. Your level 60 gear wouldn't stand a chance against me if we were to go one-on-one. Especially with my level 70 gear. I have an average item level of 368. That is that blue icon there. And that is what keeps me ticking pretty much right now. I don't have access to all endgame content yet, just because my item level is a little lower than it should be. So, as an example, actually, I can go up here, switch over your high ends. I cannot get into the raids right now. My highest level is 368. I need 370 just to get into the first stage of the raid, and then up 5 levels each time, up to 380. Max item level right now I believe is 400, and that's including having a 405 weapon. You have a 405 weapon, you're golden, and you have all 400 gear, you will be a max item level of 400 even. Obviously, they have announced a new expansion. It is called Shadowbringers. It's supposed to be out, it says early summer, so I'm assuming that'll be June or July, just like it was last year. Or not last year, the year before with Stormblood. So that being said, you know, that'll bring in a whole new mess of item levels. That'll bring in a whole new mess of probably jump you up to level 80 max. And I'm hoping they even announce 2 new classes. Well, 3 new classes. There was quite a bit of an uproar with only announcing 2 classes with Stormblood, and the fact that they were both DPS classes. A lot of people were very upset because it throws the balance off even further with the fact that there is, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And if you count the blue mage, there are 10 DPS classes versus the 3 tanks and the 3 healers. So there is quite a bit of unbalance there, and it makes it really hard for matchmaking. When you're trying to get into a dungeon, because a dungeon can only be performed with a normal party, which is 1 tank, 1 healer, and 2 DPSs. So I understand that they needed to have more DPSs than healers and tanks. I do understand that. However, I'm really hoping that they add a new tank and they add a new healer along with 1 more DPS. I, however, myself will be a little disappointed if the DPS they add in doesn't happen to be a mage. I really hope they add a new mage class. I'm mage at heart, mage all the way. It's all about that magic. But if they don't, I mean, it is what it is. Final Fantasy as a whole has a countless number of jobs that have been in all of their games. They have had many games throughout the years, and they have many jobs to choose from. One speculation is a time mage. They're speculating if they add a time mage, it could very well be a healer, with some DPS and some support added in. They could cast haste, they can cast slow, and things like that against enemies, so that it makes it a little easier, and things like that. And I think myself that would actually be a pretty cool aspect if they did something like that. Another aspect that they were saying that they were speculating was a Geomage. Not sure how well that's going to work out in this particular game, because having element-based classes really doesn't do anything. If I pull this up, in the beginning of this, oh, it looks like they got rid of it altogether. Originally, when you start the game, there is aspects for like what elements you're higher resistant to and things like that. As you can see now, they actually eliminated that. I didn't notice that before. And I think they eliminated that with Stormblood because they revamped the level system in this. Attribute points are now no longer given to you per level. It is just going to be based on what your items give you. So for instance, this chest piece gives me 307 intelligence. My total intelligence taps out at 2,848 right now, which is decent. And then, granted, I'm not at full 400 gear, so I would speculate that if I hit full 400 gear, my intelligence would be at least 3,000 or higher. Same concept with anything else. All of these things in here are all just attributed to your gear now. They said giving you attribute points really didn't help. In the beginning of the game, when you create your character, it actually gives you the option of 2 forms of each race, not just male and female. It says you get to choose male or female, and then 2 forms of the male and female you have to choose from. One will have higher stats in your physical damage, one will have higher stats in your magic damage. It's not by much, it's not a huge difference. It's like 1 or 2 points. In the beginning of the game it makes a difference. Towards the end game and stuff, it's really not going to matter at that point. So right now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to run through a quick deep dungeon. Deep dungeons are a different style. You have floors to go through instead of just going through killing a boss. Killing some enemies, killing a boss, and calling it good. Deep dungeons you can do with a party or alone. It is recommended to do with a party. It makes it a little easier. You do gain a decent amount of XP through it. I started at floor 1 with my samurai because I was learning it. I wanted to make sure I remembered how to do it. if I remember correctly, this is Palace of the Dead, and I think it goes up to like floor 300 or something like that. In order to get to floor 300, you have to do a fixed party, which means you invite some friends, and you guys go in together, and it has to be just you guys. You cannot do a matchmaking party. And you have to get to floor 100 without dying. Once you get there, you will proceed past floor 100. There are certain items that can only be used in this area as well. And your XP is vastly different. Your damage output is based on the amount of Aether Pool that you have. So as you can see, I am level synced right now. That's why it's orange and there's a little S in the bottom corner of it. My Aether Pool armor is level 42 and my Aether Pool armor is plus 38. That is my level right now, so I am over leveled to be on floor 11. But, you know, just for trying to remember what I'm doing and things like that, overall I'll be alright. Now I gotta be there is a special potion you can get in here as well. You use certain items to purchase these potions. It gives you massive health regen. Really helps out when you're alone, or if you guys wanted to come in as strict DPSs, you're more than welcome to. That's the beauty of Palace of the Dead. There are traps. As you can see, I just triggered one. I cannot attack or anything right now. I can do auto attacks. Oh, and that would be I'm probably gonna die, just because this is a mimic, and I can't use any of my attacks. So, this is Palace of the Dead. Mimics are a pain in the butt. I hate them so much. I officially have died. Now, if I was trying to get to past floor 100, I have officially died. So I would have to actually reset my entire playthrough to make sure that I could get there. However, I don't have to start at level 1 if I don't want to. I can jump straight to level 50 and start from there. Like I said before, I started at level 1 just to kind of test, because I couldn't remember how to play Samurai. But I kind of got the gist of it down, playing through it a little bit. There are some skills that I don't remember how to use still, but I think overall I would figure it out as I went. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to end this broadcast. I'm going to go check on Anthem, see if it'll let me in. I'm really hoping it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I mean, it is what it is. They are working on it. I'm hoping they extend the Anthem VIP demo, because we did pay for that demo, technically, to be involved with that demo. I think they did miscalculate by having the VIP demo be first versus having the VIP demo be next week. They should have had the VIP demo be next week. This week should have been an open beta. Because if this week would have been the open beta, they could have figured all of this out, and they could have gotten this all solved, and the VIPs could have really been treated like VIPs, and it would have been, in my opinion, a much better experience for everyone. There wouldn't be so much backlash on Twitter, on Facebook, on all of social media, just towards Anthem, towards BioWare, towards EA, towards the developers. I mean, people are, sitting there saying, oh, what a way to go. They make you pay to get this demo and you can't use it. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I was really livid myself, being there, and went in to try to jump into the demo this morning, and I couldn't get in. Nobody could. And then when I finally got in, I couldn't even play because of the loading issue. When I finally did get to play for a few minutes, my experience in it was great. As you can see from my previous stream that I just did earlier, it was a fantastic experience. I feel like the game itself flows really fluidly. There's a couple of times when I noticed like the ads and stuff like that will just kind of disappear. I'm not sure if that's supposed to happen or not, but I have noticed that happens from time to time. They just poof. Throws me off a little bit. I'm like, am I gonna get shot, or is it not gonna work? But all in all, I think Anthem is gonna be a fantastic game. I do hope that they extend the VIP demo at least till Monday, if not Tuesday, depending on how many issues are still happening come tomorrow. Like I said, I'm gonna go jump back on Anthem, see if it allows me back in, and if it does, fantastic. If it doesn't, well, you know, it is what it is. I always got tomorrow. But anyway, thanks for watching the stream. If I can get Anthem working, I will have a stream going up on that. Because what I did notice the one time that I did play earlier today, and it did the loading screen when I was trying to get out, I didn't get my items that I had gained from everything. But what I did get, however, was my XP. So I'm hoping that I still get my XP. In this case, I mean, it's going to kind of suck because I did finally get into the mission. And the mission was actually supposed to give rare gear, which is blue items. So it's going to be really unfortunate if I don't get those items, because that's going to really set off the rest of my playthrough, because I'm not going to be geared up like I should be. But it is what it is, ultimately. I'm hoping that everything else plays out right. Thank you guys very much. Oh, for those of you who don't know, as you can see, there's a little wolf pup there. That guy has a Bomboko. It's a raccoon. I have a jester guy. You can have minions following you around. They're mainly just for cosmetic purposes, to show off your accomplishments and things like that. You do have a mount, and that you can have. There's many different mounts. So as you can see, I have 28 total mounts. There's people, I guarantee there's people who have way more mounts than I do. One of my personal favorites is the Behemoth. For those of you who played Monster Hunter, the most recent one, Monster Hunter World, or played Final Fantasy games in the past, you know that the Behemoth is a big guy. He's really hard to kill, and you gotta fight him. A Lava Drake, or a Cavalry Drake in this case, he wasn't too hard to get. I just had to, there's a specific mission you gotta do over and over and over and over until you get enough points, and then you purchase it. This guy came because I did the friend recruitment. Pre-order, there's a bunch of different ones, even the Flying Nimbus. But yeah, a Halloween event had a broomstick, some motorcycle, there's a whole bunch of things in here. And then your basic mount that you get in the very beginning is a chocobo. It's their version of a horse, basically. It's a really big bird that's flightless. Once Heavensward came out, they did add in flight, which is what the black chocobo is. The black chocobo was said to be the only chocobo that could fly. However, once Heavensward came out, they did allow everyone to do a mission that allowed their chocobos to fly as well. But anyway, that's it for the stream, guys. I appreciate you guys watching. Please like and subscribe. Any questions, comments, concerns, please list in the bottom, or in the comments below. And if you have any pointers for me as a just starting out streamer, feel free to list those as well. I'm always open to constructive criticism, and I say that heavily because of the fact that there are people out there who don't understand what constructive criticism is versus just being kind of a douche. So please, if you got constructive criticism, please feel free. You know, just make sure that it's stuff that someone who's on a budget can actually implement to try to be a better streamer. Yeah, thank you guys very much again, and we will see you next time. Hopefully soon, hopefully here shortly on Anthem. Thanks again.